Hi, welcome to Big Smith News Watch. My name is Michael Richmond, and with me today I have a young lady who's aspiring to be a very good social worker. Her name is Sasha Maxwell, and she's going to tell us a bit about herself and how she intends to go about this journey. So, Miss Sasha, first and foremost, welcome to Big Smith News Watch. It's definitely a privilege having you. So, for our loyal viewers who don't know who Sasha is, do you mind sharing a bit about yourself?
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Sasha Maxwell. I am 18 years old. I attended Annandale Secondary School and I would like to be a social worker. I'm currently on my journey to be the best social worker, as Michael said. Reason being is that due to trauma I had or dealt with, I should say, um, and I had an encounter with a social worker. It wasn't one of the very best experiences, meaning she wasn't a very good social worker as she dealt with me. It's like she just wanted to get me over with, and she didn't really care about my trauma or how I really felt. So, growing up, I really wanted to become a doctor. I actually went through the science stream and started sixth form, but after that trauma, I realized that, okay, this is not what I want. I should be a social worker because I know how they should deal with people,
Yeah,
especially children.
yeah.
So I started that journey, and I would say it's going to help children, especially girls, because they're not always listened to.
Yeah.
And sometimes they really need that listening ear that parents don't give to them. So, in this way, I will go about that.
So great. It's very good that you emphasize on the point of they're not being listened to, because the way society is actually right now in this time, it's like when somebody or makes a bad decision, it's like it's just solely on them,
Indeed.
right? It's not like if you know what a perhaps or he or she is probably going through some sort of trauma
Yes.
that nobody is willing to listen. So with that being said, how do you intend to actually go about doing that? What are the methods that you have in store that what I'm not going to just listen, but I'm going to listen, articulate and stuff of that nature.
So, firstly, think, or actually, I would practice more empathy. That is to put myself in the situation or think of methods along the line or reasons for the individual to behave that way or to
Yeah.
even take part in an activity. Because in some cases, it really doesn't be that bad. Some children are just doing things due to peer pressure. Some of them are just easily carried away. So, I will always put myself in the position. And with that, it's always easier because you're able to think along the line, as in, okay, this is not really, well, I shouldn't go down on her too much because, it's because of a friend. So you think of ways to, like, remove her from that friend. There's so many things you can do, but mostly empathy.
Yeah, definitely security. I think is one of the most you know key aspect of being a social worker, because what we find a lot of times is that young people say that I go to this young lady as a social worker and I tell her my secret, and then she goes home or she goes to her friend and tells somebody else, and then next thing you know, young Sasha business are all over the national park, which I think is not very cool. So emphasize on how do you in as I reiterate again, as you said, you want to become a social worker. How do you intend to deal with this aspect of securing young men and young women, most valuable secrets?
So, firstly, I do agree with what you're saying with the security because I felt like the entire uh, childcare protection had known my issue. So, I felt that way as well. But for me, if somebody is comfortable enough to say something that's really bothering them to you, it shouldn't be disclosed. That should be your secret.
Yeah.
And firstly, between you and her, you ensure that you let her know that whatever you speak doesn't leave the room, and you keep that promise because that's the only way it doesn't come out.
But I mean, like, to just promise somebody something is like second nature. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I promise you I'm not gonna say it. But like, is there like any like separate measures that a social worker should take to just like secure these, or just like, oh, I promise you, I'm not gonna say it and just try and live by that.
Well, I guess there's nothing much they can do than say it
Yeah,
because you can't. What will you do? Video your everyday speaking?
I don't know, perhaps.
No, I guess it's just telling them that I wouldn't let it go, and you have to actually keep that promise. It's something you can't do because it's really not anybody's business. What happened between you and a child
Yeah,
or a person,
yeah.
depending on who you're dealing with. So it's really keeping the promise.
So what are some of the most basic problems you think that young people faces every day that you think would be better for you to assist them with?
As in problems.
Young people face, whether being abused.
Oh, okay. So, yes, drug abuse. They have physical abuse, verbal abuse. There are things that they deal with, unsolicited comments.
Yeah.
There's so many things that bother children that we don't get through, we don't even speak on.
Uh-huh.
So, verbal abuse is a very big one,
Yeah.
especially from your parents.
Yeah.
It really affects children, their everyday thinking,
Yeah.
how they feel about themselves. It affects their self esteem.
Yeah.
So many things that, we think that it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
But those are things we should really focus on, especially parents.
Yeah.
They can really do a better job as to what they say to their children every day.
Oh.
Because waking up every day to your mother saying you're ugly,
Yeah, it's definitely.
you don't feel good about
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Those things lead to children being suicidal.
Yeah.
There's so many things, But those, especially the abuse, yeah, those things we can really improve.
So let's just go on this part now. How do you think, social workers could actually work with schools in help eradicating some of the problems that we as citizens and as a community and a country face every single day in Guyana? How is that possible?
So for me, more than teachers, they should have at least 5 social workers attached to each farm. So for Form 1, you have a social worker, Form 2, 3, 4, and 5, so that the teachers are doing teaching and the social workers can work on discipline because that's what the children really need. So, once they are working on stuff to give them, improve their attitude, they have things, teach them ethics and all these fine stuff that can make them a better individual.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to, work along with the schools because the teachers can't do everything. So if they, have the social workers more involved, other than just when they have a problem, you just take them to the social
Yeah.
worker, it would be easier for the, school life and school system.
And lastly, before we end such a wonderful interview again, um, as I alluded to before with the schools, how could we use this within our workplaces and within our work environment? Because again, adults go through a lot of problems, whether it be from bosses, whether it be from colleagues and other
Yes,
people. How do we
indeed.
intend to use it, also within our work environment and workspace?
So for that, you can have monthly sessions, signed free sessions. You get them attached. Okay, so different places, different positions at the workplace, different times within a month, you have them assigned to view a social worker. So depending on which position you're dealing with, I guess the person that deals with more stressful activities, you have them twice a month. You just give them a short interview with a social worker every month so that they can talk about what's bothering them or
Yeah.
if there's anything bothering them. So I guess that's the only way you can work within a workplace.
I guess that's the only way, it could actually work within society. Those are the words from young Sasha Maxwell, who we, look forward to see make a positive change within society with her social works. As she elaborated, there are measures that we could take to eradicate problems that we face in society and in the country via schools and also via the workplaces. So, young Sasha, it's been such a wonderful time again speaking to you. I do hope nothing but success for you in the near future. You could I wish you success on your journey to become, the country and the world's best social worker. Thanks a lot for being here on the
Thank you.
Big Smith News Watch with us. Until next time, guys. Bye.